Okay, so I'm starting with first of all saying hello to everybody. Thank you very much. We had a very high success in those webinars, a lot of participants from all over the world. So let's just first of all say what's going to happen during this webinar. Well, this is just a very short intro teaser of our Skillman network. Skillman will be presented by our leader Giovanni Crisona and one of the main founders of the Skillman network. We will have a very short, in-depth presentation of which are the aims and the focuses of Skillman. Then, this is the plan for the next, let's say, 50 minutes. Which are the opportunities offered by the Skillman network? What is the Skillman network? And again, this will be the speech of Giovanni. I will make a presentation of some of the next and forthcoming calls from the European Commission, particularly the Erasmus Plus calls, because this is the main focus of the Skillman, but this is just an overview to understand which are the, generally speaking, opportunities for funding for the Skillman network. You already know the Skillman is free of charge, so you are applying only in terms of times and of expertise, but of course the network must be funded, so we are looking for new proposals, and this is the main aim of this webinar. It is to start a cooperation with the partners in Europe and all over the world to build networks around specific concept notes, specific proposals, which can come from us, but also from directly from your organization, and we will see in the end a tool that we are offering to all our members in order to send a first proposal and concept note in order that our experts can review it and we can start together cooperation. The second part of the webinar, we will have a open session with questions, answers, and contributions. We only ask you to be really able to summarize what you're going to say, so just 1 minute or two, because otherwise, as I was saying, we are a lot of members and we cannot give the floor to everybody for a long time, but this is a starting point. We will have other occasions to meet ourselves and to know in deep each other. This is just the first point, so we can start. We can start because I can see that we already have 16 participants, maybe somebody more. Conchetta, I can see that you are not yet connected. This is something that we will try to recover in the next forthcoming webinar. Anyway, the first part of the presentation will be made by Giovanni Crisona. Again, Giovanni Crisona is one of the main founders of Skillman. And please, Giovanni, you can start your own presentation. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Fabio. Just a moment, I will go to share, to take back the conference and to share the screen, as I have some slide that I will use to help the presentation. I will try to be fast. I cannot assure that I will be completely fast, but do you see my screen now? I suppose, yes. Okay, good. So I would introduce the Skillman characteristics, as it is a quite young network founded in 2014.
Started.
So we have changed the assets and characteristics, and we are enlarging the geographical coverage. So it's time at the annual meeting that we have now to make the point again on what are the results of the last year and what is the characteristic of the data. First, of the Skillman. First, I would like to give a reference, some background concerning, for example, the characteristic of the network. Skillman was composed from the beginning by different roles. We have vet providers, that maybe is the most strong component, but we also have large companies and small and medium enterprises. Then we have policymakers, public bodies, supranational bodies members, and so on, and this can act as organizations or as individuals. We have a lot of individuals also that are teachers, professionals, or whatever profession they do. They apply to the network as individuals because maybe they are interested in sharing and implementing the tools and so on. So these kind of organizations is not something that we have invented, because in the literature we find that the economist Finegold already suggested that there are 4 elements required to create and sustain high-skill ecosystems, and these are exactly the 4 components that you can find in Skillman. So Skillman, we can say, is a high-skill ecosystem organization. Is a place where skills can grow up, can be identified, and can be transformed in learning pathways and in effective activities. So even the European Commission this year, when has published his recommendation, has sent his recommendations to the European Parliament and to the European Council, has inserted in as a wish for the next Erasmus program and the period 21-27, the need to support such kind of partnerships. So Skillman, in this sense, is named by the European Commission as a platform of centers of vocational excellence, and these platforms are composed as Skillman is composed. Another background information maybe can be seen in the observatory that Skillman owns. The observatory is an organization within the Skillman organization, where the stakeholders that belongs to various parts, as I said, education, industry, etc., where the stakeholders interact to identify the skills for the future. So these observatories are something that exists at various levels. The Skillman intention is to deal with its own observatory on skills, that is the Skillman Observatory, but even collecting existing observatories on skills, that these are sectoral skills observatories, or anyway observatories. Here we have some definition and some reference to the models that we have considered to set the observatory on advanced manufacturing of Skillman. The methodologies that Skillman implement to make his skill foresight exercise are inherited by different systems. We have influences from DACUM regarding the focus groups organization, but even from the CEDEFOP indications and the ILO-Skolkovo method. At the end, mostly the Skillman method is based on the ILO-Skolkovo. Now is a tested method that, starting from the ILO-Skolkovo method, has also added other facilities and tools that we will see later on. The skill foresight exercise that Skillman own is so composed by various components. In this picture you see Fabio, engaged in a skill foresight exercise, so managing a group of stakeholders from industry. We see here Jaguar Land Rover, Daniele from Fiat. We have the one in front was Scandinavian Airline System. So different stakeholders asked to contribute to the identification of the skills for the future. So what are the challenges that a project manager can have in doing this exercise? For example, it's necessary to identify and to implement a scientific method, not to proceed anytime in a different way, so, or to document the method that you are proceeding. So it's necessary to balance the number of different experts, because you need experts from industry, but even from the research, from the university technological departments or the research centers and so on. And then how we can move all these experts together to work. So this is another issue that many organizations can face in the skill foresight exercise. In this regard, it's natural to have this question about how many experts we have to involve for a skill foresight exercise, and in this sense, what is the idea of the Skillman setting about this? What is the lesson learned in the last year of exercise? So we don't have an exact answer, but we know that more groups we are able to involve at a worldwide level, and more accurate will be the analysis that we can do in terms of skills needed for the future. So I imagine the Skillman as a network of stakeholders that are able to collect information to identify the skills for the future. And this is not only regarding the technological skills, but as I will say after some slide, there are other aspects that are very, very important in our point of view. So another question that we can do, but how we can manage this skill foresight exercise to move all the stakeholders from one country to another country? It's a very difficult point. Okay, we think that or where to find the experts necessary. Yes, in Europe, but this is not valid for all over the world. But in Europe, for example, the strategy of the European Commission to create new business development is called the Smart Specialization Platform, that expect that there are many people that work around the ones that have idea or startup, business incubators, chamber of commerces, various organizations. And the Skillman aim is to go in the reverse of this funneling process. If you look at the orange arrow, the orange arrow goes in the reverse to the blue arrows. The blue arrows means someone that enter in a drive where he can find support from the public institutions to go out to the labor market, in sense to the market, to produce, to company in production. The orange arrow instead in the upper side means the skill anticipations wave that Skillman implement, going back in and arriving at the left side, bringing in the learning pathways the information gathered through this skill foresight exercise. So we are able in this way to prepare the workforce ready for the moment when the projects will come out from this horizontal funnel and will go to the market, to the production. So at the moment that the new innovative companies will start to produce, they will have available the workforce prepared for the future. And so when we put together the stakeholders, how we can deal with this, how Skillman can get this information from the stakeholders. We have to move them. No, we have a digital tool for collaborate at distance. You see a board here, this is a shared board. We have video video call interaction, video conference interaction, and a common board where all the stakeholders can contribute, putting posts and moving the post on the board and making a real collaboration like in a face-to-face or in a room meeting. So we can say that after this period of testing and experimentation, Skillman own now an online skill foresight system that asks for 0 kilometers to the stakeholders. Of course, then it's also nice to meet each other in a room and to work together, but you consider that for making the skill foresight exercise are necessary many meetings, so our stakeholders are always busy, and it was needed a way to involve them in a suitable way. So in this way, the project manager can know who are the stakeholders, because the stakeholders are part of the natural composition of Skillman, where to find them and how to organize them to participate with such tools that Skillman has developed, and which method, referring to DACUM, CDFOP, and International Labour Organization method. All the tools that Skillman own that are available for all the partners are built up on the basements of the European standards, European Qualification Framework, ICVET for the standardization in the VET pathways, and ISCO database, that is the last forefront tool that contain curricula and skills in a European view. The curriculum template that the Skillman offer are, of course, fully free to be used by all the partners, and are tools that are already well implemented that can help in the curriculum design drive. Skillman nowadays become also a unique ambient for dissemination. So if you colleague have a project, have an initiative, have a learning outcome, definition, have a curricula, have whatever that you produce that belongs to the Skillman ambient, so can be promoted through the network. So we have this annual conference, we have webinars, we have newsletters, we have many tools that can be used by any member for free to disseminate his products. As you see here in the left of the screen, there is the statistics. When we have done last year the conference in San Sebastian, we had this live streaming on YouTube, and for more than nearly 500 persons watched the show in YouTube. We are very proud about this result. I would say that this year we have doubled the result, because even this year we have, this is the map, we have more than 400 participants to the online forum from nearly 100 countries. So this setting is very important for disseminate any project, any contents, and so. But regarding the content, I will say to you something more. Skillman is also in 2 high-level consultation groups at European Commission. So this means capacity of influencing the policies and capacity to disseminate the contents of the members. So if our members, like you, own some project, some idea, some procedure, some method, so the influencing power of the Skillman network is getting more and more relevant. We are working to design a vision for achieving smart industrial specialization and digital transformation in Europe, and we are also working to draw curriculum guidelines for key enabling technologies and advanced manufacturing technology. So it's important to know that there's an opportunity that the Skillman offer of visibility for our members. I have already told about the forum. This is the map that represents where the participants are per each country. You see the numbers that are not big per each country, but the counting, assuming all together, is nearly 500 persons, or it is 400 persons, 450. I think this is not updated. It was 450 persons participated to this big event, and we are very proud and thankful. So thank you very much to be here and to contribute to the success of the Skillman network. In this sense, in this regard, the Skillman members, Skillman project managers, like we have Fabio here in this picture, own the availability, have available the institutions, the companies, and the individual in the network to disseminate through webinars, conferences, and so on. So it's important to remember this. Another very important, I would say, killer application that we have is the marketplace. So Skillman has created an important marketplace where you can access, you can take for free the curricula or the learning materials and so on, but most important for you partners that you are training providers, maybe most important is that in this marketplace you can upload your materials and distribute your materials to a large public. So it's very important to continuous source the marketplace with new resources. Is from last week that we have agreed with the MEMEVET Sector Skill Alliance project the full participation of MEMEVET friends to the Skillman network, and they will upload soon their own curricula that will be, of course, developed implementing the Skillman standards and templates. Another important thing that our project managers, so you can implement, is the mission. You can take on your shoulders our mission regarding ethical values. We are convinced that the Skillman board is convinced that the ethical values, the ethical skills are a must in a set of skills. When we discuss about what are the skills for the future, never forget to include the ethical skills, the ethical values as a fundamental pillar in any setting of skills. So if you agree with this vision, it's important to spread it all over the world. So please take the initiatives, organize seminars, webinar, conferences, whatever, and bring on this idea. At the end, Skillman tools allow any partner to solve and to have zero problems in the skill for site exercise, curricula identification, curricula design, and dissemination and exploitation of each own result. The Skillman Alliance, as you know, is worldwide distributed, and now we have maybe around 300 members. This slide is not very well updated. I think we have around 300 members composed, as I said before. These are some numbers of the results that we have reached in the last period. As you see here, we have a lot of unit tests, we have curricula already published in the marketplace, and so on. We have a lot of ambassadors all over the world. We cover different countries. So just to end my presentation, this is the current distribution of our members that you see are mostly in Europe, but not only. And we expect now, after these meetings, that all the friends that participated from Canada, United States, Mexico, and South America, and so on, will take the initiative to become members of the network. So just one rapid information about how works the membership. The Skillman network is based on the open source community principles. So it's like the open source software. There is a marketplace where the member can contribute
We are experiencing technical difficulties. You may not hear everyone on the call. You will be prompted when the conference is reconnected.
Of roles that they can cover. If you want to be an area coordinator, or I don't know, you want to be a member of the editorial board, so you can just apply for submit for this candidate yourself for this role, and there is no fee of subscription. There is only a small duty that if you are an area coordinator, then you have a list of things to do, like some meeting, some publishing in the Skillman website, articles or whatever. So all this is then indicated in the website when you go to make your membership role, and you have clarified for each membership role what is asked by the community. So here these are the roles. Put your face here means that you can become one of these Skillman pillars. I think I have ended. If I have forgot, we can talk later about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. It was not easy to give an overview of what is Skillman in a few minutes, of course, but we will have time to go in deep with the Skillman activities. As we have said, this is only a starting point. And now what's next? Well, next is regarding funding, money to fund all the Skillman activities. As you have understood, Skillman was a previous funded project. Now we are looking for access to new call for grants and proposals. I'm going to give you in 5 minutes a very simple overview of the Erasmus Plus and funding of the Erasmus Plus European program, but this is just because Erasmus is the main funding connected to training and vocational education and training sector. This doesn't mean that there are not other funding tools. Maybe you are expert in other funding tools, and we kindly ask you to provide your expertise inside the Skillman network. But anyway, this is just an example on how we have to focus on the call for grants. As I was saying, this will be a presentation of Erasmus Plus, but there are also other funding under the European Commission which can cover partially or some aspects of the trainings, like mobility, like expertise, like events, multiplier events capitalization. We will go on, we will open specific topics in Skillman website in order to access you to provide your expertise and your knowledge about possible potential funding. Anyway, talking about Erasmus Plus. Erasmus Plus is an European program which covered different levels of activities. We start from the individual mobilities, individuals like trainers or teachers, up to the so-called K-Action 3 policies for regional authorities. Not all the focuses are interesting for Skillman Network. We are going to focus only on K-Action 2. KA means K-Action 2, aimed at the boost the cooperation among institutions from different countries, of course. And at this stage, we have the new call planned for 2019. The preparation of our proposal and partnership connected to the proposal takes time, okay, efforts and time. So we are now starting the process to present new proposals under those forthcoming calls from January up to all the next year. This is only a selection of calls, and these are the calls under the Key Action 2, again, the calls which are aimed to boost the cooperation among institutions and partnerships across Europe and moreover across the world. Each call has different objectives. We are not going to go in deep to each aims. I will give you the references to have a look on those specificities. Let's say that the first aspect you have to understand is the eligibility of your country. In Erasmus Plus calls, all the European countries, of course, are eligible, but also other program countries like former Yugoslavia, Macedonia, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Turkey, and Serbia are always eligible as partners, at least in all Erasmus Plus calls. This is not the same for other countries. Other countries, so-called partner countries, can be eligible not under each call. Generally speaking, they can be eligible for those calls and strategic partnerships, which are aimed to boost the cooperation among that institutions all over the world. The knowledge alliances, which generally speaking are trying to involve the business sector, the SME, the enterprises into the skill needs analysis, and the capacity building activities. We have two main calls for the capacity buildings, one for the university and one for the youngster organization. How you can how you can check if you are involved as a country into Erasmus Plus program? Well, this is the complete list of the countries, apart, of course, the European countries. If you find your country in this list, it means that in some kind of activities you can be included in Erasmus Plus application. If your country is not under this list, it means that you are not eligible under Erasmus Plus. Maybe you have other funding, European funding that can cover your country, like Europe Aid or other international funding, but under Erasmus Plus you must be in this list. Of course, these slides will be shared in the network, so you can check it twice after the end of the webinar. But even if you are in this list, doesn't mean that you can apply for any call. Let's have a look at a very simple example. This is an excerpt from the Capacity Building for Higher Education, CBHA. It's one of the call, the forthcoming call, if I remember correctly, it's in the beginning of February, which is going to, the deadline of this call is in the beginning of February. What does it mean? It means that, again, every European member states are eligible. If you are coming from other countries, you are eligible only if you are in those regions. You are not eligible if you are coming from the regions 5, 12, and 13. And I have, of course, put these countries in this box. So maybe you are in the previous list, but if you are not in this specific list of this call, you are not eligible. This is something that can change from each call under the Erasmus Plus. So you have to check carefully this, because this is the first step you have to check before cooperating in one specific proposal. Maybe you can apply, let's say, in a strategic partnership, but you cannot in the capacity building. Then we have also to understand, better understand the budget issues for each core. I mean that not all the Erasmus Plus courses have the same rules and the same amounts. This is an example from the Knowledge Alliances calls, which again are aimed to boost the cooperation between business sectors and vocational training sectors. The budget can be of some interest, of course, so you can grow up to 1 million euros. This is not the biggest call under the Erasmus Plus program, but it is one of the biggest call for the institution around the world over the boundaries of Europe. But we have to understand how it works in terms of specific budget, because not all the calls have the same interest. Let's say that there are two main focuses. One is the so-called implementation support, which is composed by unit cost of people working into this kind of activities. So you have the production of intellectual outputs, the project management. This is the kind of budget which is of most interest under Erasmus+, because it means that when you work on something, you will be paid for the days, the work days of the man who has worked in the project. Then we have the travel and subsistence costs. These are, of course, important because it covers the travels for both people working in the project and trainees and students and teachers. But in some courses, you have only the coverage of travel and subsistence costs. So we have to focus on the course in which we have both those aspects. Otherwise, we will have only the reimbursement for transport. It can be useful, but as a parallel tools to another big project in which we have the coverage of all the kind of expenditures. Let's make an example. The European Commission makes already made tables in which you can find which are the main days contribution for each kind of professional. You have manager, you have teacher, researcher, technician, administrative staff. This is the first box for the European countries and the program countries. Similar box is made for the external countries outside Europe. In this case, the numbers you see are euros per day. So the European Commission says that if you have 10 man days for a specific profile, well, you can get funded for those amounts. Of course, the rules are really more specific. We will have to go in details for each core, but this is to give you an overview on about how it works under Erasmus+. All those informations are stored in the European Commission webpage. I will give you these links, will be published in the Skillman.eu website, so don't worry, you don't have to copy and remember these very unfriendly links. But the most important thing is the third one, the Erasmus Plus program guide. All the information are stored in this document, which is a quite complex document, but we will share it with all of you so that you can understand, have a better understanding of what we are talking about. But coming back to the Skillman added value, what I'm ending my presentation saying that we have prepared this form, this link, Skillman submit your idea. This is a very simple web page in which we can start to interact together. You can go by yourself to the link, which is in the main page. From the main page of Skillman, you can go from the network menu to this link, which is called Submit Your Idea. The web form is very simple. It's just a web form in which you have to fill some basic field. Then you can put your abstract, which means some short description about your idea, what you can propose, what you are looking for. You have to specify which is the main objective of your request. If you are looking for partners because you have already a concept note, an idea of what you want to get funded, and you are looking for valuable, suitable partners, or if you are offering your expertise, so you have to describe which kind of expertise, which kind of contribution you can provide, and for which kind of cause, and you can upload your abstract, your presentation, PDF, doc, whatever you want. This is the starting point. The board Giovanni was speaking about, internal of Skillman, will review for free this kind of application, so that we will start together an internal discussion. We will open topics in our forums, so then we can start together to build partnerships, to see which are the right calls for your proposal, or which are the right proposal for the course you want to work with. Again, this is a starting point. The webinar is the very beginning of a roadmap which we bring together to build proposals to answer to calls like the one we have seen. My presentation is ended. I think the best thing, Giovanni, should be to open the question and answer session so that we can maybe interact with our guests.
Absolutely, yes. I would suggest Fabio to open to interaction. Yes. Okay. So you can click on ask for a question, or for this means that then you can speak after that you have pointed that you want the microphone. So it could be very nice to hear some voice from the participants of the webinar.
Yes, Giovanni, I'm keeping back the control because we already have some question. Let's see who is interacting.
Hello. Can I ask my question?
Yes, yes, please go on. My microphone was closed. I was saying yes to you, but you didn't hear me. Please.
My question is regarding the curriculum template. The template is compliant, produces curricula compliant to European qualification framework. But in India, we have got our own qualification framework, skills qualification framework, that is NSQF. With the National Skills Qualification Framework. Now, my question is whether this template can we use to create NSQF compliant curricula?
Yes,
yes, tell me.
Okay. That's very, very good question, good remark, because it's very important that all our Skillman members take the initiative. This means that we have available the curricula template based on the European standards. Why we do not give to the Skillman network the opportunity to also own other templates based on other standards, and why we cannot then try also to take lessons from different experiences and improve the templates, taking inspiration from different standards and systems. So the Skillman area coordinator, for example, for India, could decide to put together the efforts of different members and to upload in the marketplace the new curricula template with the different standards. You will be welcomed if you would take this initiative. Then we have the possibility to work on different standards, to learn each other different things, and then to also convert one curricula that is under one standard in another standard, and to create also our official Skillman standard that could be the merge of the different systems.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giovanni. We have also another question from Karen. I think that this is the right pronunciation. Oh, no, we have two other questions. So, first of all, Karen, and then we have Mustafa and Hilal. Please, Karen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hi, from India. Actually, we are an NGO, and thanks very much for the webinar, first of all, and having this online training sessions and everything. My question is that having trainings online is okay. It's one part with the theoretical, but you know, like the wet mobility programs, which are not funded by European Commission for the third world countries like India, suppose, can we, with the network, build a network where there are a group of people or trainees who they want to go abroad and gain some more work experience in the industries or organization? Can we make something unique opportunity for this, which cannot be funded by European Commission until I know this, but there are people who they want to go abroad and learn something, but they have the funds available. For instance, we have a group of people who they really want to do, from the industry, from the universities, from the institutions. We are partnering with them. So this is the question from all of them. Thank you.
Fabio, will respond to it?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Well, yes, I can understand very well the needs, because this is something, this is a continuous request also inside Europe, but also under Erasmus Plus, we can have this kind of contributions in terms of pilot activities and of so we have to check carefully which is the kind of target you want to cover, and together we have to match the calls, the available calls. And of course, not only under Erasmus Plus, but also under other funding, as you were saying. But this is why the first step we have to make together is that you personally fill this kind of form we have shown you before, this submit your idea, because this is the first step, thanks to which we can understand better which are your needs and which is your added value, so that we can send this kind of request to our experts and we can check together. In my opinion, once you have pointed out which are the kind of organizations you are trying to involve and which kind of targets you have in mind, we can check together which are the best funding proposal. Anyway, the first step is submit your idea, and then we will open the topic on the forum so that we can share together the resources we have in mind.
Very good. If I may interact on this point too, I shared my screen where you can see the Skillman members map. For each member, then you can find the contact, you can contact the member. Of course, that you are not going to contact someone that you don't know, but this is the starting point. So you can identify to organize mobility in some country in the map, and then you can look if there is some Skillman member that can help you. And we, as a central coordination, we are always available to support this. Consider that even in terms of mobility experience, we have large experience from 2008. We also are founders of the Europe Mobility Network that own a lot of contacts and resources to support any Skillman member for the mobility issues. So it's very interesting to know maybe what are the requirements, what are the needs, and then we can set a specific drive within the opening, within the Skillman members, a debate on how to fulfill the needs of one of our partners that would like to organize sharings, job shadowing, work experiences, or whatever we want work with.
Thank you, Giovanni. We have other 2 questions. I hope, Karen, that we gave you the right answer. Anyway, we will interact on the forum if you have in-deep requests. Now I can see that Mustafa has asked to talk. Mustafa, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, sorry, I mistake the name and the surname maybe. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Basically, it's actually a follow-up to the first question. The gentleman asked about the curriculum within India. Now, you're saying your curriculum is a European framework curriculum. Now, I'm a training provider, and I also work in Africa. I'm based in the UAE, but I work in Africa as well, in West Africa. Now, when it comes to the curriculum, the European one, who is the awarding body? Because we use, for example, we use a British curriculum, and the awarding body would be Pearson. But when it comes to the general European framework, if we want to make use of this curriculum, then when we start qualifying or certifying students, which is the awarding body? This is something that I have absolutely no knowledge about. And another question that I have, we are very specialized in engineering training, vocational engineering training, pipe welding and fabrication according to the needs of the community. So I can see there in the list of your Erasmus class, Uganda is there, and one of our projects is in Uganda. How can we go about to the next step into considering funding from Erasmus in that sense?
I will answer for the first question, and then Fabio will answer for the second one. Regarding the first question, the European system is not provided with awarding bodies in the sense that you refer concerning the UK system. Yes, at national level, there are authorities that are in charge to release certificates or in terms of professional certifications to give qualifications. But the European system only provided the tools, so only provide the framework, doesn't provide the authorities. There are no European authorities that release qualifications or certifications. Each national state, and especially in the VET system, the regional government in many countries in Europe are in charge to set the framework where you can get the certification or the awarding body can operate. So in this sense, the European Commission has set a tool that is called the ICVET system, that is based on memorandum of understanding signed by different organizations even across different countries. So the principle is this: the base of the curricular development is the European qualification framework that is based on competence-based learning approach. The competence-based learning approach of the European qualification systems require that you break down the competency descriptions in skills and knowledges. And then the ICVET system instead ask you to define all these things in a framework of methodologies and approach. That means how many hours, in which way, so the methods that you implement and so on. So the EQF system then create references for the different countries in Europe to have levels of education, and we mean for the schools, but the ICVET system put together the vocational education training qualifications in terms of competencies and small bricks that compose the curricula, the learning pathways. So you don't have, coming back to your question, you do not have an awarding body for Europe. You have different awarding bodies for each country in Europe that can implement the same standards. If you choose to implement an European curricula, or better, not European curricula doesn't exist, a curricula that is developed under European standards, then the authorities that can give you the approval or to your students the stamp on the certificates and so on can be taken only at national or regional level, and they have no authority outside the borders or where they are based, but there are recognitions in terms of EQF. These are the levels of the certifications. In terms of ICVET, this depends on the memorandum of understanding signed by the different organizations. So you can sign the memorandum of understanding of the Skillman system, and these allow you to release certificates, yes, for qualifications that can be recognized or that are recognized by the other organization that signed the same memorandum of understanding, being in the framework of the Skillman. So Skillman hosts various organizations in the world. They agree through this memorandum of understanding to recognize the application of the same standards. So the curricula template embed the European standards, but if you sign the memorandum of understanding, even being outside of Europe, you are allowed by the other organizations that do the same operation, not the national or the regional authorities, but the individual organizations, to recognize that you apply the standard, you are in the framework, and you have rights to be recognized as that certain title of qualification. I don't know if I have been able to explain, because it's quite complex, I think, maybe, but you, maybe being an expert, you have get the sense of my thoughts.
Now I will pass to Fabio for the other part of your question.
Yeah, thank you, Giovanni. The second question was something like, what happens after I have checked the location and general eligibility? What's the next steps? Well, I would say that first of all, you are kindly requested, if you haven't done it, to subscribe to the map and to the list, the Skillman network, the one Giovanni is showing right now. And the second step is to interact with us with this link I was showing before, to submit your idea. By the way, I had also another question, which was where you can find all those materials, where we will make this webinar video recorded and the slides available to the Skillman members. So after, not as soon as the webinar ends, but let's say in the next days, we will publish everything so you can record the links and information. But anyway, you have to interact through submit your idea. Once you have submitted your idea, the expert panel of Skillman will review those concept notes, those proposals, in order to match the partners with the calls with your concept notes. We will start together an open discussion in a restricted area of the Skillman forum, so that we can build together the partnership. For each call, for each concept notes, we have to start from the scratch, because every call has different aims, different objectives. So we have to consider together which can be the right lead applicant, which are the right countries, the right targets to address. It is in-depth roadmap and very something that we have to do for each specific proposal. So the first step is submit your idea. We will review it in terms of feasibility related to the European course we have shown to you. Maybe you have also other specific funding in mind, so do not hesitate to use the submit your ideas also to say, why do not address this kind of calls or these other opportunities. We will review with the specific experts and we will come back to as soon as possible to you. Okay? And then we have the last question from sorry, I cannot see, Randa Hilal. I don't know if this is the right pronunciation. You are online, Randa.
Yes. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you for this webinar. It was very important to understand the system as a whole and the method. But as I understand, then I have submitted my application to attend another one, so I don't have to attend the other one because it's the same method that you are explaining in every one of them, but it is the ideas or the slogans that we are working under could be part of the ideas that we are going to present to you. That's my first question. The other one is, what is the eligibility? Who can apply? What are the institutes who can apply? Is it only TVET institutes and or market relevant institutes, or could it be consultancy institutes as well who could apply? Is there another question? Is there any lessons learned from similar projects that have been implemented under the different themes that you have put, or that we can learn from or refer to? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your three questions. Let's say, I don't know, well, I can answer to the first one. Yes, the webinars are parallel webinars, so the same topics will be covered. Of course, you will be put together with the other members from the other webinars once we have finished, so that we can interact each other. But yes, you can follow only one webinar. Then, regarding the two other questions, may I ask you, first of all, where are you located? Are you in Europe, outside Europe?
No, I'm in Palestine. I'm working and living in Palestine, and I have a consultancy company.
Very good. Okay. So, generally speaking, all institutions can be of some interest in terms of participation. Erasmus Plus program encourage the participation both of the TVET institutions, so like high school, universities, but also from the business sectors. And we have to check carefully, maybe Giovanni will say something about this, we have to check carefully which are the aims of the course. Each course has different rules, but this is something that we have to check together. Of course, the Erasmus Plus sector, as I was saying, the Erasmus Plus funding, as I was saying, is focused on the training and vocational system. So when we are calling about Erasmus Plus, and once we have checked the eligibility of countries and of everything, yes, the main aim of Erasmus, generally speaking, is to improve the vocational educational sectors. But in the beginning of my presentation, I was saying that there are also maybe other funding, other sectors of the European course and the international course. Let's say Horizon 2020. Horizon 2020 is a program which is aimed to boost the innovation in terms of technologies and of knowledge, right? But maybe there can be sectors inside any specific core in which the training aspects and the mobility and the capacity building, which are the focus of Skillman, specifically can be addressed. So we have presented Erasmus Plus only because this is the main principal focus, but there can be a lot of other focuses to be explored altogether. Actually, we have something that, like more than 500 opened calls inside Erasmus, inside Erasmus, European Commission, and hundreds of other calls. I don't have personally the knowledge of all specific causes. So we have to work together to identify which are the opportunities and which are the focus to be addressed. Giovanni, maybe you want to say something about this.
Honestly, I don't have specific indications. I think that I know that Palestine is candidatable for, I think, for sure for the strategic partnership. Anyway, if I right understood, also question was it must be a public institutions or private body or whatever, no? Depend on what you do and how you act, because in some kind of calls it's indicated, but in other kind is very wide open. It's a wide range of kind of organization. So I think if you are a consultant company, maybe you can apply, but not for all, but for many opportunities. Anyway, I think we have another partner also active in Palestine that maybe is not yet published in the map, but I know them directly, so we can also put you in connection if you like. Then we can continue with the discussion that we started here in an individual one-to-one way. I'm also interested to know more about what Riham said before concerning the possibility to implement the curricula owned by Skillman in her project. So I invite all of you to identify a possibility of exploitation of the Skillman resources, because are available for free. So if you can implement a curricula, is good for the network, increase the collaboration, and doesn't cost anything to anyone. So please take in exam in your evaluations if there are possibility of implementation of any tool that is allowed. In the collaboration network, in the capacity to collaborate of the network, you can find very different characteristics, because coming back to what I said in the beginning, we have companies, we have vet providers, we have public and private bodies, we have individuals. So it's good to know each other, the needs that you have to drive this flow of information in the right place. We are trying to set a collaboration collaboration tools in the platform. We started to do this in March. We have very several delays for various reasons. I don't know why we are always attacked by hackers. Even tonight we received an attack yesterday. As soon as we have closed the forum, we have been hacked at 9 o'clock. Maybe it was calculated, because normally, you know, the backup are done at midnight or in the night, and then we finished. But fortunately, our technicians rescued everything and then after 3 hours, the site was perfectly running again. But anyway, there are very big costs to manage all this, and we proceed as a voluntary base, as I said, so it's okay.
Sorry, Giovanni, maybe we have a last question again from Riham. You asked again, you have something to ask, Riham. Can you hear us again?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please, go on.
Just following up on the conversations now. Incidentally, I'm trying to put together an advisory committee for the project that we're putting together back in Africa, in Uganda. As I said, I mean, I am based. My institution is based in the UAE, but our project, which is a vocational institute, is in Uganda. Now, I was very surprised that you have your skills foresight exercises, which is something that is definitely needed, since it is everything policy-wise, everything written, it's there. It's the implementation that is challenging. I have reviewed the Ugandan Vocational Act, and skills. Skill in Uganda was one huge project, which was I do remember that it is a European community, with some sort of collaboration between the two countries. So my job is to actually put together something that is basically a sector skills council specifically for the vocational institute. So my question to you is how this tool is it going to be customized to an institution, or is it going to be like shared within the stakeholders, within the persons or the companies that we are hoping to attract for the skilling of thousands of people that are ready to work?
It's clear.
How can I apply it, or how can I think of even starting to put it together, maybe?
Yes, Reham, it's clear your question. I will give you just a brief answer. We have to then switch to the next webinar, so I don't have time to say all I have to say in to answer to your question, but I will give just a brief answer, then we can continue in a one-to-one conversation. This point, I think, is very important what you have mentioned. I think both that you have said. There can be an initial adaptation of the settings, and then the sectoral skill councils that you go, or one at the national level, I don't know, or sectoral skill councils that you can develop in Uganda, can merge in the big umbrella of the Skillman network. This is the idea. So we implement a method, we give the method can be adapted, but then you can refer to the whole umbrella of the Skillman network to find stakeholders even abroad in the skill foresight exercise, because as we know, the skill foresight exercise is very costly and time consuming. So you need to share efforts and take resources where they are already developed maybe, and then to valorize the resources through your own sectoral skills bodies, committees, or whatever you want set up in this country. So I would suggest if we can have further clarification on this, because I'm very interested to know what is your working that you are dealing with the sectoral skill councils. It's our wish to enlarge the observatory dimension, including different components from different countries, so to have the sectoral skill councils involved in the general and transnational observatory that Skillman provide. Then I will contact you in the way that we can discuss face-to-face to go on with this discussion, but unfortunately now we have to switch off our connection, because we have to move to the other room where there are another group of participants for the webinars.
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you to all of you for your participation. As we have seen, we have a lot of things to share together, so please go on interacting with us through the forum, which is ongoing, and through the specific form, submit your idea. Please double check that you are already mapped on the Skillman network. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for your time and for your very valuable questions. See you next time, and again, this is only a starting point. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye to everybody.
Bye-bye to everybody. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.